Hey guys, welcome back to Mag 5 Firearms. So today I have a special guest here in the studio, and it is Brian ZWALLY.
That's me.
So Brian agreed to come in today, and we're kind of just going to chit-chat for a while, and we're going to talk about Brian's experiences. Brian, I know Brian's been in the gun industry for quite a while, and he practices daily, just about, right?
Just about at this point, yeah.
Just about, right? And he was actually one of the trainers over at my spot down in King of Prussia who really got me into what I do now. So, and here's a funny story behind that. I actually hated him the first time I met him. I think I told you that at one point.
I heard some rumblings about that, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I was pissed. There was something you did to me, and this just rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, and then I ended up getting into the Gold Shooter program, and I worked with him a little bit more closely, and I just realized what kind of a great guy he is. And here he is now sitting next to me, and we're going to talk for a little while.
I'm still rubbing people the wrong way, but it usually ends up working out.
Right? So why don't we just go ahead and just tell us about yourself a little bit, how you got into this. How old you are? I mean, you're pretty young, so
yeah. I mean that's what people tell me. Some of the kids are starting to call me old now. I'm 26.
Okay.
26. So depending where you are on the age spectrum, I'm either really old or really young. That depends on your perspective. But I've been shooting pretty much my whole life. One of my earliest memories is I shot a 22 revolver in my backyard.
Yeah,
I was too little to actually hold on to it. My grandpa cocked it back for me. I grew up in Lancaster County, so we could do that there. There was enough land and stuff. And it just kind of kept going from there. I always had a passion for guns. I shadowed a gunsmith when I was in middle school.
Awesome.
That's what I wanted to do initially.
That is awesome.
But that didn't work out. I ended up just doing the training thing because I started to realize people don't know how to use the guns they already have.
That is very true. I mean, there's a lot of accidental shootings that are happening almost on a constant just because people don't know enough about what they're handling.
Accidents and suicides, man. That's number one in gun deaths.
That's very unfortunate, at least the suicide part of it, obviously. Yeah. All of it's unfortunate. That's why we always talk about practicing safety, right? And this guy here is the one who actually embedded it in my ear. And I actually think that's the way you rubbed me the wrong way. Was I think I didn't have, I don't know. It was something I put the gun down wrong or something, and you came up on me and you were all cocky and, hey, what are you doing over here? Or something along those lines. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy, right?
Sounds about right.
Well, but anyway, it shows you that, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, right? So tell me about, so you got into guns when you were young, right? What made you get into the competition, that part of it, the training part of it?
Well, honestly, a lot of people these days, I saw the cool videos of people on Instagram doing USPSA. Jerry Michalek was one of the first videos I saw of him, doing the 6 shots in 1 second or 2 seconds or whatever it was.
That's pretty impressive.
Oh, dude. The revolver stuff, that is not me. That is not my game. I'm semi-auto pistols all the way. But I saw that and I was like, hey, I want to do that. That's super cool.
Right.
So when I was working at the first gun store that I worked at, I just went out and shot a USPSA match.
Just out of nowhere. Just decided to...
Signed up for it. Showed up. Funny quick story about that. I carried a gun for a little bit at that time. I was 21. I think I had been 21 for 6 or 8 months or something like that. And I just carried a gun everywhere all the time.
Right.
And I just showed up to the match with my gun loaded because that's how I carry it, because it needs to be ready to use.
That's right.
Apparently you're not supposed to do that. So if it's your first time shooting a competition anywhere, arrive with your gun unloaded and your magazine separated from the firearm.
See, I would have been that douchebag. I would have been that guy who showed up with it loaded on my hip, ready to draw, right?
Yeah. They were cool about it. They helped me out. We got it unloaded, and I was able to do the match successfully. But dude, I was hooked. I realized that being able to shoot while doing other stuff is actually kind of hard. It uses up a lot of your brain power if you've never done that before. And I watch videos of me doing some of those early matches, and I'm like, oh my god, I was like a baby deer
Right. I mean, using brain power is difficult for me as just sitting here, but while you're shooting the gun, right? So
yeah, I thought I was good, and then that kind of humbled me a little bit. So
okay, so what was humbling about it?
I just didn't do as well as I thought. I did better than like a beginner typically would because I've been shooting for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I've been practicing, a lot, but it was all static on an indoor range, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can get a lot done in a booth on an indoor range.
Right.
But I had never done any moving and shooting at all. And I just showed up to this match and was like, hey, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So that was, I didn't have an awareness of where my body was, like, in space. I wasn't really an athletic kid or anything. I didn't play any sports. So
right.
It was like, wow, this is a really weird thing to do with a gun in my hands.
Mm-hmm. That's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because, like, you think it benefited you that you started this without having any kind of sports or body like training, like because then you didn't have to reteach your body to do what you were learning?
I think if somebody has like a sports background and they have more of an awareness of their body, that puts them at an advantage doing that kind of stuff. I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
I just didn't have that, so I had to like kind of learn all of those things, and I'm still working on a lot of those things.
Now, are you still competing?
Not actively. Work's been real busy for the last year or so, so I've been keeping up with my training at the indoor range. We have the Monday night meetups. I've been getting out there doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I've been getting out of the competing thing. I gotta get out and do a couple of matches this year.
Cool.
A couple of my students have been killing it out
yeah?
there, though. Yeah. Peter Schiavone?
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, killing it. Every match that he goes to, he's at least in the top 3 in his division.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's really great.
So
that must make you proud.
Oh, it stokes me up to see people that I've met and that I've trained with like doing really well out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself getting back into it?
Yeah, I'll do it again. Yeah. It's really just been a work thing. I've been, matches around here are hard to get into because thankfully the sport's really popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it makes it difficult to get into them. They're on weekends a lot. I work a lot of weekends, so.
Right. Okay, yeah. So competition, check, right? You had that as a goal, I guess, in life, and
I did it.
And you did it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my YouTube thing, whatever I'm doing now. I just woke up one day and said, hey, I'm going to do this, right? And we just started doing it, right?
Yeah.
So, check, right? So what's next? Where are you at? What are you doing now?
I'm doing some private security stuff, so just kind of taking it day by day, man. Whatever jobs come up. I just went to an executive protection school. We were talking a little bit about that before the camera started rolling.
Yep.
So the executive protection thing is super interesting to me. I'm gonna keep going with that
until the next thing comes up.
As much as I can until the next thing comes up. Yeah. So I'm filling in with some stuff. I'm back over at Shooting Doors for anybody that didn't know that yet. Yeah. So if anybody wants to get some training in for at least the next couple of months, I'll be back in a role over there doing some of that.
That's great. You gonna take over Monday nights, or is that still the next thing?
No, that's gonna be Nick.
You cool?
Yeah.
Are you gonna do your own thing, or
I'll be there a lot of times. Undetermined.
Undetermined.
I'm gonna be doing privates for right now. So.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So back at indoors. So talk to me a little bit more about this executive. What did you call it?
Executive protection.
Executive protection, right? So what does that entail?
So it's pretty much providing protection for celebrities, high net worth individuals,
celebrity this guy.
That's the thing that you got excited about. I don't want to misrepresent myself. I haven't done any celebrities.
Oh,
yet,
it's okay.
But,
I won't tell anybody. That's all right.
No, nobody you'd recognize in the news or anything.
Right.
But yeah. It's a cool world, man. It's very, very different from other security stuff that I've done, like uniform stuff, because that's very like. You're there to provide a presence, and that's about it. Like, you're trying to make sure people who aren't supposed to get into wherever you're guarding don't get in. I've done a lot of synagogues before. That's always a pleasure, man. Houses of worship are like super fun to work with, and the need for that is high,
right,
in today's day and age. But like when you're with an individual and they have like their lifestyle that you have to accommodate. It's a little bit of a customer service thing too,
right?
Which obviously I have a background in, having worked at public ranges and having worked, some retail stuff before that. So I never thought that would come in handy on the gun side of things, but
So it's not like you would typically see on TV with the earpiece in your ear and you're standing there with a dark suit, right?
Hey, like that's some of it. Like every single contract, every job is different. They want you to dress different. You know, they want high profile, low profile, different number of guys, different kinds of vehicles. Like there's so much out there that I haven't had an opportunity to really experience yet, but that I'm aware of through my research. Yeah, it's a pretty big space, and everybody's kind of got their own little niche.
Right.
You know, there's celebrity, there's corporate, there's like dignitary protection kind of stuff. A lot of those are like government jobs. Obviously, the Secret Service is kind of in that same realm, but like on the government side. So it's super cool, man, because of that variety. Like it's everybody kind of has their own where you fit in with your personality, your skill set, your background, all those kinds of things.
And where do you think your skill sets is keeping you? Where do you think that's putting you in that business?
Man, I don't know.
Still too new to.
I'm telling you, I'm just doing it one day at a time. I'm trying to experience as much as I can, and you know, whatever opportunities pop up, I'm taking them.
I think that's awesome, man. That's really a great way to live, right? I mean, that's definitely something that a lot of people can learn from. Right, you know, last thing you want to do is get stuck in a dead end job where you're just Monday through Friday. Well, Monday to Fridays are great. Let me steal your role, right? But the 9 to 5 behind a desk kind of thing sometimes bores people, right? And it's not for everybody, you know. So when people say that they do stuff like this and they just want to take it one day at a time and see where it brings them, I love it. I think that's a great thing for.
Well, that's a big thing, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about like focus and training later, because that's a big thing that I think about a lot. Having been an instructor, but what you do in your life has to fit your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, that's different if you're a single dude, or if you have a family, or if you have people, you know, outside of your family that are depending on you. Like your schedule, lifestyle, income, all that kind of stuff needs to fit that.
Sure.
So just because somebody else says like, oh, this is the greatest job ever, like it might not be for you.
Right.
Like what's your day thing?
My day thing?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you asked that because I've never announced it. I've never announced it, what my day thing is.
I didn't know how much your audience knows about your
they don't, but it's not like I was hiding it from them. It was just that it's never come up because I try and keep my world separate, right?
Okay.
You know? So, because not that I don't love what I do. I do love what I do, my day thing, but this is something different that I just kind of want to keep separate, right? But it's not a secret, but I'm a chef by trade.
Yeah.
You know, so I did the whole culinary world thing, and you know, going through the business of culinary, and I'm sure a lot of you out there can testify to this, it's 12 hours a day, you know, 7 days a week, and there's no real life, right? The life that you get out of culinary is the rock star life, where it's after work, you go out, you party, you drink, you get up, and you do it all over again, right? So, but that wasn't me. That's not, like, I enjoy a drink, right? I'm not saying I've never smoked weed, right? But I am saying that was just the life of culinary, and that wasn't what I was looking for in life. And when I met my wife, as I told you recently, you know, we met in culinary school, I knew I wanted a family.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, the family is the father who was home with their kids and being able to help take care of the kids. I grew up with a father who did that, right?
Yeah.
And my father worked very hard. He worked 3 jobs, and he was home whenever he could, and mom always took care of the kids. And that was the part I hated, was that my father was never home. And I swore that I would never do that to my kids. And I ended up doing it to my kids because the culinary world was that for me. And because, again, it was just every day, hitting the grind, hitting the line, doing what we had to do. And then, like, after work, I'd want to unwind. I'd go have a couple drinks. And then next thing you know, it's 3 in the morning and I'm going to bed. And my kids had a full day that I didn't experience, right? So then, at that point, I was like, hey, you know, I want to get out of this role. And I made a change for myself. And I stayed in the culinary world, but I made myself into a director.
Okay.
And I took director roles. I started taking director roles. And, well, there's a chain that I went through. It was like, you know, I became a sous chef, and then I became an executive chef. And I executive chef for a number of years before I became a director. But now I'm into the director level. And, you know, now I run a hospital, You know what I mean? So it's really it's total 360, same field, but this is what's turning into my passion.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, like, I hate to cook.
Yeah.
I know that that'll like break your heart a little bit.
No,
but,
no, not at all. It doesn't. It doesn't because I'll tell you right now, my wife is a 20 times better cook than I am, and she will cook meals, and I would cook meals, and I like hers way better than mine. So
that's a good deal.
Man. It's a great deal, right? The last thing I want to do is cook when I come home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So when she says that she doesn't feel like cooking, I say, "What are we ordering?" Right? Because I'm not cooking at this point. Right?
Right. Yeah. So kind of what I was thinking there is like people sometimes try to focus what they're doing in their training or in their life off of what somebody else is doing. So somebody heard like, "Oh, you love being a chef. I'm gonna go be a chef." No, people do that in the training world a lot. Like, "Oh, these military guys are doing this high speed training where they're blowing a door open and then entering a room." Like, if you're a mom who stays at home or like, you know, has a nurse job or something, like, you're not doing that. Like, that's not a thing that exists in your life. So
right.
Why would you go and do training that supports somebody else's goal?
Right. You got to make sure it's good enough for you and your family.
It's got to be realistic.
It has to be realistic. Yeah. Not that it's not unachievable, and it's just that you gotta make it work for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that. A lot of people put lifestyle, family before work.
Yeah.
Right. And which is the way I was raised. Like it should always be like that. Because God forbid you die tomorrow, they'll replace you like that and not even skip a beat.
That's it, man.
Right. So I die tomorrow, my family will be devastated forever. Right. So there's a difference there for me.
And that's the important stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Family is definitely important. You know, my mantra: God, family, country, man. That's the way I try and live.
Yeah.
Right. So God, I mean, He protects me. He guides me. You know, if you believe in that, and I'm not saying that you have to, but this is what I believe.
That's
what my
a topic for another podcast.
I'm sure it is. You know, but I do believe that, and again, I don't think ill of people who don't. But you know, God is what gets me through the day. Right? My family gets me through the day. Country, I mean, like, if you can't be proud of your country, then what the fuck are we doing here? All right? I don't know.
I couldn't agree with that more.
So, but enough about me. We're here to talk about you, my friend. Right? So, when we first talked about us getting together and doing this, what I was really excited for you to talk about was gun safety.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And I guess what I want the viewers to find out is, you know, what I personally feel you've gotten to a skill level that is pretty impressive, at least for me, from my standpoint. Again, like, you know, who am I? I don't know. But, you know, from my standpoint, I was like, wow, he really knows a lot of this shit. And how did you get there? What drove you to do that? And how did you get there? And how did you keep up that? You know, because you do it. Like, you walk it, you talk it, right? And that's a real tough one.
Man,
for a lot of people.
Yeah, I've sat down and thought about this because people ask me this question a lot, especially when I was training full-time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm always getting the question, why do you do this? I can't tell you why I started out. I really can't. But I can tell you, anything that I do, it only makes sense to me to do it to the absolute best of my ability.
Absolutely.
So, you know, obviously firearms are a really important thing. It's a very simple thing. They're very simple machines. Like, comparative to driving a car, like learning how to use a gun. You know, I can teach you in 30 minutes the basics of like how to handle and use a pistol.
Right.
It's not a very complicated thing. However, it's a very high consequence thing. So, you know, especially getting into an environment where I'm training people all the time, it's like these people, I take it very seriously when people are like, hey, I'm trusting you to give me information that I'm going to use to protect myself and my family. Like,
right.
that weighs heavy on me. I have, like, you know, a lot of people don't have a conscience about that. I definitely do. So I guess it's a little bit of a moral thing, that I hold that as really high importance, and that I made it important for myself to seek training. You know, I started out like a lot of people, YouTube University, man. Just watching videos and trying stuff out. But I spent a lot of money going to professional training classes and shooting matches and just getting out there and getting the best information possible. So, as far as the gun safety thing, it's real simple. You follow the rules, man.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but what are those rules? Because I don't think everybody knows what those rules are.
no, they don't. So, before I get into that,
Go ahead.
Everything that I teach is.
That was work. Let me turn that off.
He's got to separate his life a little bit more.
I do.
Everything that I teach is principle based. So I try not to get people thinking in terms of steps. You know, some people, their brain kind of works better that way.
Right.
And you can get people to an end state better that way. But when you put them into a dynamic situation of any kind, they fall apart.
Sure.
So
stress does that to people.
Yes, yeah. Even the stress of just putting them under time pressure,
Mm-hmm.
which I consider to be a pretty low level of stress comparative to
other things,
life or death.
Right. Yeah.
Why a lot of people get guns.
Wow, I turned that off too. All right. They really want my attention. But
really,
go ahead.
They
keep
really
going.
want to. Yeah. So. I try to teach everything from the basis of principles, so you can take that principle and go, use it in real life. So, keep your finger high and away from the trigger unless you're actively shooting the gun.
Right.
What does actively shooting mean? The muzzle is lined up with the target and you're ready to shoot. Now, I say that in a very particular way because I mean it in a very particular way. So, it kind of goes out into everything that we've done in training. Like, I say muzzle align with the target because saying sights align with the target, like, well, what if you're not using your sights, man?
Right.
And what do you do? So I try to take all the safety rules and make it like, hey, this is going to apply no matter what.
Right.
Keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And then I spend a lot of time in my beginner pistol classes talking about what a safe direction is. And the unfortunate reality in the real world is that sometimes there's not a safe direction. There's like a safest direction.
Right.
Because, people exist and the environment is dynamic. People move around.
Right.
You move through an environment. So the safe direction doesn't remain just pointed at the backstop. I try to not say that when I'm teaching a new pistol shooter because, keep the gun pointed that way. Get somebody safe on the range, and that can work to an extent, but that's not setting that up. That's not setting that person up for success when they have to use the gun in real life. And by use the gun, I mean even handle it in their bedroom.
Right.
Like take it off of themselves and put it into their safe next to their to their bed. That's not setting themselves up for success in that environment. So, trigger finger discipline, muzzle discipline is the core of the whole thing. And then if you have to actually shoot the gun, understand what bullets do. They go through some stuff, they bounce off other stuff, and you got to kind of know what that is.
Right.
So if you're shooting at something that bullets go through, you got to know what's on the other side of that. I think you've been in some trainings where we work some of that, where we have some targets, behind.
I failed them.
Our target.
I did.
So,
that was the one thing you actually told me to work on. It was knowing what was behind the target.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember that very vividly because I kept hitting the wall.
Yeah.
Because of the angle that I was shooting the target.
Yeah. And that's a very real thing, man.
Yeah.
Like you can look up, there's enough videos of police shootings where there's bullets going all over the place. And that's not okay. You're accountable for every bullet that comes out of your gun.
Right.
Every bullet that comes out of your gun, there's a lawyer attached to it. Is the thing that I've heard. I didn't make any of this shit up. I just stole it all from other people.
Right. Well, that's how most people succeed in life, right? So
yeah. That's the other thing. Like I don't have an ego about any of this because I didn't make it up. Like I didn't invent this. Like I don't have like some medal on my wall. Like Brian invented pistol shooting. Like that's ridiculous. Like,
right.
Pistols have been around in their current form for over 100 years.
Right.
Like the old guys that have been using these things figured out a lot of shit before I ever got here.
Right.
So I have a lot of respect and reverence for that too.
I think that's a great word you just used, respect. I mean, respect not only for what you're doing, right, but respect for the weapon that you're holding and respect for the kind of damage that thing can do. You know, it was funny. It was that my brother and I were actually talking about the G-Force, and I said to him, he goes, yeah, he keeps his shotgun loaded at home. And I said, oh, okay, what do you keep it loaded with? And he goes, slugs. And I said, do you think that's really a good idea? I'm like, isn't there like home defense like shotgun? And I did some research, and there is.
Yeah.
Right? And he thought, and it's funny, it's a matter of opinion, I guess, but you know, when you shoot the home defense one, it's a controlled spread. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because there's less of the pellets that are in there, and it's a little bit more controlled. But when it's a slug, like that thing's going straight, and it's going through the person and through the wall behind them, right?
Oh man, we could do a whole like 20-30 minute segment on terminal ballistics.
Right. I'm sure we could.
There's actually a really good book. I think it's just called Ballistics. What's the guy's name that wrote it? Some doctor out of New Jersey, and it covers interior, exterior, and terminal ballistics. Interior inside the gun, exterior outside the gun, terminal when it gets into whatever you're shooting at. And
I'm glad you said that because I had no idea what you were meaning.
I've gotten good at the explaining the right stuff out thing. Yeah, and you know, there's pretty much an exact science to interior ballistics. Like, we understand a lot about barrel steel and how it acts when you put pressurized stuff through it and what different powders do and all that kind of stuff. And exterior ballistics is pretty much an exact science. You know, we know how bullets move through air. You know, we know how to increase or decrease a ballistic coefficient so that they're more or less air resistant and all that kind of stuff. The section on terminal ballistics is just kind of like, well, when bullets hit stuff, they do. They kind of like, you know, there are basic principles, and there's a lot of good testing out there. You know, ballistics gel and actual tissue, you know, results from real world shootings and hunting and those kinds of things. But bullets do weird shit when they hit things. So I always encourage people to choose an appropriate ammunition for whatever it is that they're doing.
Right.
But I never encourage people to expect the bullet to do something in particular, because they pretty much don't.
That's very, very valid. You're absolutely right when you say that.
Yeah, and the shotgun thing, man, people have argued about that since shotguns existed, and they will argue about
plugs or pellets or what?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's the same as any other long gun. Like, know your target and what's beyond it.
Right.
My personal pick for shotgun home defense ammo would be flight control buckshot.
Right.
Yeah, the Federal flight control wads are awesome. We've patterned them out to 25 yards, and there's 2 to 3 inches of spread max, depending on what barrel length and choke you're shooting them out of. And it doesn't even really depend a whole lot on that.
Wow.
It's really good stuff. It's expensive, but it's really good stuff. Really terminally effective. Like,
yeah, but you buy one case, hopefully it'll last you forever, right? Because or one box is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have a zombie apocalypse, right? Or something.
And at that point, you're using everything you got, right? It doesn't matter what it is.
Just send it all.
Buckshot, birdshot, slugs, whatever. You're shooting it all.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, as far as ammunition selection, like especially for the shotgun, like everyone's got an opinion about that. My pick is buckshot, so you can argue about that in the comments. I really don't care that much. Yeah,
I actually go with buckshot as well. I got numbered. I think I got number 9 steel ball, whatever.
Okay,
they're called. But yeah,
fine.
The way I read up on it is that it's the less shot that's in a thing, the more controlled the spread is how I learned it. I don't know how true that is, but depends
on the barrel length, the choke, the wad that's in the ammunition. Mm-hmm. All of those things play a role in how much spread you get. Obviously, a slug isn't going to spread because it's a solid piece.
Yeah. Right.
Everything else, all of those factors play into how much it spreads out. And how much spread you want depends on, you know, what you want. I don't want a whole lot of spread. I'm like I want my bullets to go where they're supposed to go kind of person.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyways, with ammo selection, you carry hollow points?
I do.
Yeah. I've run into a surprising number of people that don't carry hollow points.
Really?
Yeah. So now,
so let me say this. I learned that a hollow point, I don't have any out.
Yeah.
That when it hits the target, it is designed so that it kind of mushrooms inside the target, and it stops it so it doesn't go through.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
That is exactly how I say it. It is designed to do that. It
right.
may or may not.
right.
Again, that
may go in one way and but come out like a quarter, right?
Yeah, it's dependent on, different ammunition and different guns for different things. Some ammunition is designed to be fired out of a longer barrel pistol, and they design it for that purpose. If you shoot it out of a short barrel pistol, it may not reach the velocity to actually expand when it hits your target.
Oh.
So yeah, that's the thing. That,
so what's the definition of a long barrel and a short barrel pistol?
Well, usually
is it 3 inches in a short barrel, 4.5?
Usually, the manufacturer will advertise like 4 3-inch barreled semi-autos or something like that. Like I believe Hornady Critical Defense is like they're like tested out of 3-inch barreled semi-automatic pistols or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but then Critical Duty is like this is for a duty handgun, like a 4.5 or a 5-inch.
Are you a believer in brand?
I have brands that I prefer to use.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't get paid to support any brands. So.
Neither do I.
And I honestly prefer to keep it that way.
Okay.
Because then I can give my honest opinion, and people can't call me a shill.
Right.
Yeah. Which I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting paid. I'm totally down with receiving money, but
me too.
But my opinion isn't influenced by that in any way.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can still have an opinion whether you're getting paid or not.
Yeah.
It's just very unfortunate whatever that outcome is going to be, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm being sponsored by somebody and I really don't think it's a good product, I'm not going to have them sponsor me.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to be educated with what you do.
Yeah. You got to be educated. And you got to have a little bit of a moral conscience about it. But as far as brand hollow points, Supervel is like what is in my gun almost all the time. Yeah.
Say it again.
Supervel. Yeah, they actually the original company invented the jacketed hollow point.
Okay.
Yeah, they Lee Juris came up with that. I think back in like the 60s or something. Most cops were carrying wad cutters, so the front of the bullet was flat and it would cut a clean hole. Just the size of the bullet.
Yeah.
And then he was like, that's dumb. Why don't we make them expand? So they did that whole thing. But the modern company, what I carry in my my work gun and my larger carry gun, my Glock 45, is their 115 grain solid copper hollow points. The main reasoning that I have for that, you checking the time?
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, cool.
We're 30 minutes in. You want to keep going, or do you need to stop for anything?
I can talk all day. Right?
All right.
I got enough Diet Coke left over here.
Yeah, all right. Keep going, man. All right, I figure we'll give it another 20.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, and then we could always do this again, because I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm learning a lot, and I hope you guys are too. So, I mean, you brought up, you said you're 45, and that's your one you carry all the time?
That's what I carry most of the time. It's that or a 19.
Okay.
Are
you a Glock guy?
I am a Glock guy.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I very occasionally carry a revolver.
Sweet.
Pretty much to the gym.
Yeah.
When it's like I can't fit another gun on me, or I don't want to for like or like I have to go out to my car in the middle of the night and I'm going like literally 20 steps out the door. It's a Smith & Wesson Airweight, and I can clip it to my gym shorts in the middle of the night. And then I have a gun.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Better to have a gun than to not have a gun is like my theology on that. Like I'm not one of these people who's like you must have a duty pistol on you at all times.
Yeah.
Like it's just not reality.
Right.
Like you're just not gonna you need to carry the gun that you're actually gonna carry. So for me most of the time that's a full size like duty size pistol.
Yeah.
But that's me, my body, my lifestyle. Like, that works out for me.
Right.
If you carry a Glock 43, like, that might be appropriate for you.
Right.
It's your gear should be driven by your mission.
Absolutely.
What are you trying to do?
But how do you feel about exterior carry?
Oh, boy. Like, obviously, I do it for security work sometimes.
Right.
In a uniformed role, it makes sense.
Yeah.
As an individual...
As a civilian.
I generally wouldn't do it. I don't like to tell people like what to do with their life.
Sure.
Like I'm a little more on the liberty-minded side of things.
Well, this is about you. We're getting to know you.
Yeah,
I'm curious
yeah.
about what you do.
Me personally, I never do it. Yeah, the only time I'm open carrying is when I'm in a uniform capacity or I'm training. I'm at the range. I'm doing a class for security personnel, for law enforcement, or just for people who carry outside the waistband or do like competition time.
So you're not going to walk down the street with an AR strapped to your back?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
No.
Although it would be fun. I think that would be fun. Something to try one day, maybe once.
And like that's dependent on your environment.
Right.
Yeah, like there's places in the country where that might work out for you.
Right.
Philadelphia is not a place that's going to work out for you.
No, it won't.
So yeah, like I'm trying to not attract attention to myself. Like I don't wear gun branded shit out in public. I don't. I have a really comfortable Glock sweatshirt that I absolutely love to wear, and I hate that I don't wear it out in public. But I don't because the couple of times that I have, people notice that stuff.
You don't want to attract attention to yourself?
People come up to me and they're like, "Oh man, I just got a Glock, like whatever, wherever," and like that's fine. Like those people are cool, but like who are the people that I don't want noticing that?
Right.
Like they are also noticing it. I'm just not aware of it.
Right.
And that's not good. So that brings up a really interesting conversation. So a lot of people talk about concealment, and a lot of people go real surface level with that. They're like, "Well, my T-shirt's over my gun. I'm concealed carrying." Like, all right. Are you wearing a Glock T-shirt with 511 pants and Oakley sunglasses? Like, people can probably put two and two together and be like, that guy's got a gun.
Right.
So it's not just about like concealing the physical item. It's concealing your intentions, concealing your capabilities, who you are, what you're capable of. Like, you think
that relates to safety?
Absolutely.
How do you put two and two together?
So, I don't claim to be like an expert on this necessarily, but my understanding is that bad guys have a thought process too related to target selection. And they're just like everybody else, man. Like they want to get what they want to get with the least amount of resistance. And some people take that and go, well, I'm open carrying. That'll deter the bad guy.
Yeah.
If somebody's lived a lifestyle where they have guns pointed at them all the time, like they don't care. They don't care that you have your gun. They're just going to take it. Right. Like you are just carrying their gun for now. Right. Is how they're kind of looking at it. But if they don't know, if they like have a question about like, this guy might fight me. He might have a weapon. Like that's a question in their brain. And not saying that they won't overcome that, but they have to overcome that. Right. That's a thing that they have to take into account. So just anything that you have to overcome when dealing with an adversary, they have to overcome with you. So it works both ways. It's a problem solving game in both directions. They're using slightly different logic than you, in that a lot of criminally minded people are more short term thinkers, so they act differently. However, their thought process is not altogether different. In a lot of ways. So that's a big thing.
So you'd rather not let them know that you are that person, as opposed to you don't think it would deter them if they knew you were that person?
Like certain people, like I don't like to characterize like these group of people will think this way.
I got you.
But generally, it's better to conceal your tools, intentions, capabilities than it is to lay them all out for everybody to see. It's like playing poker with laying your cards down face up. Yeah. That would be kind of fucking dumb.
It would be. That'd be really fucking dumb.
It's kind of the same deal. That's kind of how I think about that. And that's just my personal opinion. Again, other people have other opinions. Other people have different experiences. Yeah. That's going to change depending on where you are, what society you're in, where you are in the world. What the rules are where you are in the world. Because that changes too.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's really fascinating. We actually went down a little rabbit hole that I didn't expect us to go to, because this just puts a different perspective on that.
Man, I'm always going down rabbit holes. So if you need to guide me back to where you wanted to go.
No, dude, I love this. The one thing that I wanted for this, just in general, any of my interviews and stuff like that, is I want it to be organic, right? Yeah. So I want it to go wherever it goes. You know, so yeah, I have no direction.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like your work life, right? There's no direction. We're just going to figure it out as we go along. Right?
I like guns. I'm passionate about self-protection and
Yeah.
protecting others, and
protecting others.
we're just going to go with that.
Protecting others. Now, saying you have a gun is one thing, and pulling a gun on someone is something completely different.
Ooh, sure is.
Right?
Sure is.
So, and again, if it's too personal, just say, Joe, go fuck yourself. I don't want to talk about it, right? But have you ever had to?
We're not going to talk about that.
Okay. Which is absolutely fine. I mean, I've never had to, but I do scenarios in my head, right? And I don't know if that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but, you know, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I can. I don't know, right? I don't know. I haven't gone there yet, right? I would certainly hope that my fear of not protecting my family would overcome the fear of what's going to happen, right? So I think, well, maybe fear is the wrong word, but whatever that word is, you know, I would hope that I could do it. I would do it.
So
you know?
I would say next to gun safety, that's the most important thing a gun owner could think about. Putting yourself in that situation. And the absolute best way to train that is scenario-based training. And there's a number of people out there that do that. I've taken a couple of classes. I won't recommend, you know, any in particular at this time because I'm currently trying to figure out where I sit with that whole thing. But that scenario-based training with simulated ammunition and simulated weapons is the best way to get yourself as close as you possibly can without actually putting yourself in mortal danger.
I mean, I always thought that paintball would be the closest thing, but, you know, I mean, they hurt, but not like that, right? I mean, come on. I know you're going to be okay after I shoot you in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's one of those things that kind of keeps me up at night where I'm like, am I going to be able to protect my family when the time is needed, right? And to know when the time is to draw, right? Because for me, if there's a chance to run or if there's a chance to protect my family by escaping, I'm always going to take that route first. So, you know, fighting and shooting, I want that to be my last resorts.
Well, that's absolutely something you have to work out before the moment comes.
You're right.
So a lot of people don't even consider that, or they consider it at a very shallow level, or they tell themselves what essentially amounts to a lie. And they know it's a lie.
Yeah.
So the fact that you are considering that, that's a really important step, for sure. Again, I'll reiterate. And I've talked to a couple of guys around here. It's obviously very difficult to get scenario-based kind of stuff together, because what insurance company wants to insure people shooting at each other?
Right.
And, you know, you need people with the requisite experience to put good training like that together, that it's safe and realistic. And that's the other point, the realism. You know, good scenario-based training will have good role players that will make the scenario as close to real life as you can make it. But yeah, so essentially what you need to find is somebody who's has lived experience doing that. And that also is a firearms trainer, and they can put that together. That's obviously very rare.
Yeah, that is rare because a lot of people who've been in those scenarios don't want to talk about it.
No.
Right?
No, which totally fair.
Yeah, it is fair. Absolutely.
100%. If they want to go, do paintings or, live with their family and, just live out their life, retired somewhere, cool. Good for them.
Yeah, as they should, you know? So yeah, that's something that I think about, you know, definitely, you know, and again, I won't know until it happens, right? And all I can do is train, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, that mental piece, super, super important. So even thinking about that, I will recommend 2 books.
Do it.
Violence of Mind by Varg Freeborn.
Okay.
And Beyond Uda also by Varg Freeborn is kind of the second book to that. He talks a lot about criminal mindset and defining your mission. I actually had the opportunity to train with him last year. Super cool dude. If he has some stuff up on YouTube, so any content that he has out there, that can definitely get you starting to think about the mindset stuff in a very productive way.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, they have it on audiobook too, so if you're not too big on the reading thing. I know.
How'd you know? Do I had idiot across my forehead. This guy don't fucking read. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm saying I do a lot of overnights sometimes.
Sure.
And, can't read a book, so I just pop an earphone in and try to take some knowledge in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read that book, gosh, 2019 or something like the first year that I started doing training. The first pistol class that I took, they recommended it, and I bought the book and I read it, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't think about any of this stuff.
Right.
So again, I didn't invent any of this. I haven't lived a lot of this. I've just kind of collected stuff from the people out there that appear to know what they're talking about, and I can say he absolutely knows what he's talking about. So
awesome.
yeah, definitely.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, definitely dig into that. Do at some point a book review. I think that would be really valuable for anybody who listens to you.
Awesome. That's really great. So I think this is where we're gonna end it.
Cool, man.
You good with that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything else you wanted to say to the people?
That's all.
That's it.
Other than G-Force armed shotguns.
Yeah, man. G-Force arms, man. Was it a dot or was it a bullet? Tell me, which one was it, man? I'm telling you.
Best shotgun for $99.
Right. 100. I paid $113. It's on sale right now for $99. You can't beat that shit. I'm telling you. And the $15 strap that I threw on there, it was even better. All right, listen, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for the time that you spent with us today. Thank you, Brian, for all the education that you've given us.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I hope you can come back. I hope you come back on and real soon too. Just want to end it with that, guys. I got nothing else for you. God bless you, and don't forget, have some fun. I'll talk to you soon.